Fantasy Philosophers is brought to you by fantasy-info.com.
Jahvid Best fell into the later parts of the first round of the draft this year, as it looked like some teams were concerned with the health issues that he had. Remember, he was dinged up a few times with the Cal Bears. He also had that issue where they had to cart him off the field on his, I think basically it was pretty much his last play in college, where he went hurtling over a defender and he fell right on his back. And that was a pretty scary play. I remember watching that, man, and his arms were motionless and everything. But, it's amazing how the body can bounce back. And Jahvid's okay and healthy now and ready to go. This is definitely one of my favorite players to watch in college last year. I'm on the West Coast, so I get to watch a lot of games with Best and Toby Gearhart. So watching Best all year long, up until he got injured and years before, really a lot of fun. He was a very good player, good touchdown maker. This is a guy that ran track. He actually did, in fact, end up running a 40 time that was faster than C.J. Spiller, just barely. Got that speed that he can make that big play. Once he gets to the open field, he can take it to the house with that speed. He's got some good moves. He can even catch the ball pretty good. This is definitely a good player. Only problem that I have right now, and again, before I say my problem with him, this guy, he's going to come in, he's going to start right away for the Detroit Lions, as Kevin Smith had that late season ACL injury, and he's not going to be ready to be any type of a main runner or anything like that. Probably maybe not again, but definitely not this year. I think he's going to be a helpmate to a guy like Jahvid Best, but he's just not going to be the running back that he once was. So it is going to be Best's show, and for fantasy, you got to love that. But here's the problem that I see with Jahvid. Really, it's the offensive line. They didn't get a whole lot done with their offensive line at the draft this year or in free agency. They have made some nice improvements, though, that should help him overall. They made some nice improvements obviously up front on the defensive line with Namagan Suh. You even got Corey Williams coming in as a pass rusher at defensive tackle. They got KVB, Kyle Vanden Bosch over from the Titans. And remember, he used to be with Jim Schwartz, who is now the head coach with the Lions. He used to be the defensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans. So these are good things. Why does that help? Because if you can stop the run and you can, create pressure on the quarterback, that's going to help for turnovers. That's going to help stop drives. It makes teams one-dimensional. I think they'll still be horrible against the pass, but that's going to help get the ball back in Detroit's hands on offense, and that means good things for Jahvid Best. Again, because he's got those good hands, I think that gives him added value, because when they do get down in certain games, he doesn't have to leave the game. He can still go in there and be a good receiving running back. There may be even games where he gets 5-6 catches in a game and does help you in that way. So if you're getting points for receptions and for your running back, that's an added value there. I think that he may see a little bit inflated numbers there because they're not the greatest of teams. But the Detroit Lions, thankfully, they are walking into a point where I think they're going to be more competitive in a lot of games. Maybe they're only going to win 5 or 6 games this year. But that's actually an improvement over what they have been. And at the same time, I do expect him to be in a decent amount of games. Another problem that we have with Jahvid Best is, remember that he does play in the NFC North. So that means he gets 2 games against the Green Bay Packers, 2 games against the Minnesota Vikings. Those are 2 very, very stout defenses. Those are defenses. The Green Bay Packers finished number 1 against the run last year, and Minnesota's always one of the top teams against the run, as Pat and Kevin Williams are not going to miss any time this year because of the star cap situation, so they're going to be there all year long. Those are games that are a little concerning, but, Kevin Smith, when the team was right, he could give you some production in some of those games. So if Kevin could do it, I'm willing to say that Jahvid can do it. Jahvid is definitely right now a top 20 fantasy back. If he does do well in August, I think he'll creep up over maybe guys like maybe Felix Jones, maybe even a Jerome Harrison, who may lose some time to some of the other running backs in Cleveland. And he also plays in a very tough division. So with Best, tons of skill. He's one of those guys that really, if you get him as a late second running back on your team, I think that's okay for this year, as long as he's progressing well over the summer and healthy. Other than that, he makes for a really, really, really good flex play option for your team. That maybe number 3 running back. But, in the deeper leagues, I think he's definitely a good option for your number 2, because he's going to get the ball. He's got a lot of talent. He can be a touchdown guy. These are all good things. I think as this team starts getting better, they get that offensive line better and everything, that he's going to be a guy that can really take off maybe in his second or third year in the league. But he should be a good, productive little player for you. this season.
For more fantasy football information, go to fantasy-info.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Good luck in your 2010 Fantasy Football League. As an added bonus, the Fantasy Info guys will include their 5 secret tips for success in fantasy